Have you ever felt too small to face a giant problem? Sometimes the greatest battles in life aren't fought with strength or weapons. They're won through faith. This is the incredible story of David, a young shepherd whose trust in God changed history forever. Long ago, the armies of Israel stood on one side of the valley of Elah, while the Philistine army stood on the other. Every day, a giant warrior named Goliath stepped forward to challenge Israel. Standing over 9 feet tall and wearing heavy bronze armor, Goliath mocked God's people and demanded that someone fight him in single combat. For 40 days, every morning and every evening, he shouted insults across the valley. The soldiers of Israel were terrified. Even King Saul, the strongest and tallest man in the kingdom, could not find the courage to face him. Fear spread throughout the camp, and no one dared to answer the giant's challenge. Far away in Bethlehem lived a young shepherd named David, while others trained for war. David spent his days caring for his father's sheep. He protected them from wild animals, played beautiful songs on his harp, and learned to trust God with all his heart. One day, David's father asked him to bring food to his brothers, who were serving in King Saul's army. David gladly obeyed and traveled to the battlefield, where Israel faced the Philistines. When David arrived, he heard Goliath's challenge and was shocked that no one had answered him. He couldn't understand why everyone was so afraid. David believed that no giant could stand against the power of the living God. When King Saul heard about David's courage, he called the young shepherd into his tent. Looking at David, the king doubted that such a young boy could defeat a warrior who had spent his entire life in battle. But David spoke with confidence. He explained that while protecting his father's sheep, he had faced lions and bears. Each time, God had given him the strength to save the flock. David believed that the same God who had protected him before would also protect him now. King Saul offered David his own armor, helmet, and sword. David tried to wear them, but they were too heavy. He had never fought with armor before, so he removed it. Instead of trusting human weapons, David chose to trust God. Walking to a nearby stream, he picked up 5 smooth stones and placed them into his shepherd's bag. Holding only his sling, he walked toward the giant. Goliath looked at the young shepherd and laughed. He could hardly believe that Israel had sent a boy to fight him. Confident of victory, the giant mocked David and cursed him before the battle even began. But David was not afraid. He declared that Goliath came with swords and spears, but he came in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel. As the giant rushed forward, David ran to meet him. He placed a single stone into his sling and swung it with all his strength. The stone flew through the air with incredible speed and struck Goliath directly on the forehead. The mighty warrior fell face first onto the ground. For a brief moment, the entire battlefield was silent. Then the soldiers of Israel erupted with joyful celebration. The Philistine army fled in fear, and Israel won a victory that no one thought was possible. David did not defeat the giant because he was stronger. He defeated the giant because his faith was greater than his fear. His courage inspired an entire nation to believe that God was with them. We all face giants in our own lives: fear, doubt, failure, loneliness, and problems that seem far too big for us to overcome. The story of David reminds us that no challenge is greater than God's power. When we place our trust in Him, we never face our battles alone. Faith does not make every giant disappear instantly, but it reminds us that God is always bigger than every obstacle we will ever face. Have you ever chosen to do what is right, even when everyone around you was doing wrong? Long ago, the world had become filled with violence, selfishness, and sin. People had turned away from God and forgotten how to live with kindness, justice, and faith. But among them was one man named Noah. Noah was not perfect, but he loved God. He listened to Him, trusted Him, and tried to live a righteous life while the world followed its own desires. One day, God spoke to Noah and told him that a great flood was coming. The earth had become deeply corrupted, and judgment would soon fall upon it. But God also gave Noah a plan. He told him to build a massive ark, large enough to carry his family and many kinds of animals. The ark would protect them from the flood and preserve life for a new beginning. Noah believed every word that God had spoken, even though the task seemed impossible. Noah had never seen a flood like this before. Building such an enormous vessel would take years of hard work. People laughed at him. They mocked him. They questioned why he was building a giant boat on dry land. But Noah did not stop. Day after day, he followed God's instructions. He gathered wood, built the walls, prepared the rooms, and trusted that God knew exactly what would happen. His obedience was stronger than the voices of doubt around him. When the ark was finally complete, Noah entered it with his wife, his sons, and their wives. Then the animals came. Birds filled the air. Wild animals walked toward the ark. Small creatures hurried across the ground. Pairs of animals entered safely, just as God had commanded. When everyone was inside, the door of the ark was closed. Then the rain began. At first, it was only a few drops, but soon the storm covered the entire earth. The sky grew dark, thunder shook the earth, and rain poured down without stopping. Water rose over the fields. It covered the roads, it reached the hills, and climbed higher and higher. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain continued. The ark lifted from the ground and floated safely upon the waters. Inside, Noah and his family waited. They could hear the storm outside, but they knew God was with them and would never abandon them. Days became weeks, and weeks became months. The floodwaters covered the earth, but the ark remained secure. At last, the rain stopped. Slowly, the waters began to go down. The ark eventually came to rest upon the mountains of Ararat. Noah waited patiently for the earth to become dry again. First, he sent out a raven. Then he sent out a dove. The dove returned because it could not find a place to rest. 7 days later, Noah sent the dove out again. This time, it returned carrying a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Noah knew that the waters were disappearing and that new life was beginning to return. After waiting a little longer, he sent the dove out once more. This time, it did not return. The earth was ready. God told Noah and his family to leave the ark. The doors opened, and the animals stepped out into a new world. Noah built an altar and thanked God for protecting them. Then God placed a rainbow in the sky as a sign of his promise. He promised that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood. The rainbow became a symbol of God's mercy, faithfulness, and hope. Noah's story teaches us that obedience is not always easy. Sometimes people may laugh at our faith, and sometimes God's instructions may not make sense at first. But Noah trusted God before he saw the outcome. He obeyed before the rain began. And because of his faith, his family was saved, and the world received a new beginning. When life feels uncertain, remember Noah. Keep trusting, keep obeying, keep building what God has placed in your heart. You may not understand every step, but God sees the whole journey. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you always. Thank you for listening. If this story encouraged your heart, be sure to subscribe for more inspiring Bible stories. May God bless you, strengthen your faith, and remind you every day that with Him, all things are possible. See you in the next Bible story, where we'll discover another powerful lesson of faith, hope, and God's everlasting love.
If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Subscribe to our channel and join us for the next unforgettable episode. Every story is a journey of hope, faith, and transformation. Click subscribe now, and we'll see you in the next chapter.